Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Did You Know Business? Alhamdulillah, today we're going to be discussing on a very important topic. I don't know anything about the topic. It's about university collaboration, or rather, university industry collaboration. Joining me today for this beautiful conversation is none other than Abdullahi Umar, the Chief Business Strategy Officer of Bilaad Realty. But before we kickstart this conversation, stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa
Good to
rahmatullah.
have you on the show, brother.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, the first day I interviewed you, I was like, hey, I'm going to be interviewing a chief strategist. I have to strategize my interview. How do you do, Sheikh?
Not bad.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Our topic for today is new to me. And when I got the topic, I was like, what does university industry collaboration really mean? And I was like, does it mean an industry will collaborate with a university, or what is it about? Can you tell us a bit about what this means?
I think it's very explicit, just as you've put it, university industry collaboration. As you already know, universities are set up to solve societal problems.
Right.
So we all, alhamdulillah, have gone through some form of tertiary education, which is directed at assessing what goes on in society, going through theories and literature of what people have done in the past, preparing individuals for the real sector. So when you come out of the university, you're looking for a job. And when you get that job, you're providing solutions to problems. Now, industry, as it were, are a group of those companies that are rendering a service or products within a particular space. So be it agriculture, real estate, financial services, and all. So they're grouped into industries, so sectors and industries. And having them collaborate, so the industry collaborating with universities, will help in strengthening the relationship between content and output, which is something that we believe it's important to be done by both private sector and public sector, because right now you have most universities being supported by the government, most initiatives and clamor for improvement in content of or level of education is directed towards the government, but we believe strongly that the private sector can play a huge role in improving the quality of education through collaborative efforts with universities. And that's pretty much what this university industry collaboration initiative and platform is about.
You made mention of something very important. When the student leave the university, they get a job to do. So does that mean that a student is taught exactly how it's going to be out there when he leaves the university? For instance, now, I want to go into maybe real estate. So you as a company or as an industry in that sector, do you come to the university and pick what they call a student that are interested in real estate and then train them to that effect? Or do you just normally go to the university, you collaborate, anybody interested, they come?
So right now, it is unstructured. So what we face as businesses is that you put out invitations for people to send in their CVs because you have job openings.
Right.
Now, you'd be very surprised that if you set out a job opening for a bank teller job, that you would receive submissions from people that have studied accounting. You would rather receive submissions from engineers, from business management students, from, if you're not careful, pharmacists. Now it's quite unstructured because the ideology around is that we just need that certificate. Irrespective of what it is, we're not going to use it. We just need the certificate to show that we've been through the four walls of a university. Now we want to try and see how we can correct that.
Right.
And correcting that means when industry interacts with universities, it will give the opportunity for students to realize the importance of what they're being taught. So the relevance of what they're being taught. So the whole idea of people cramming for examinations and just memorize it, write it for the exam and pass would now be adjusted, because industry experts are coming back into the classroom to say, look, what you've been taught, this is how we use it in the real sector, this is how it applies. So they become more interested in what they're learning, they become more involved in what they're learning, so they can now be more streamlined. Equally, you would find that companies have a set budget where they have to train new intakes on the things that they need to learn to be conversant with how business is being done in their space. Now, you would find that if we're able to inform universities on certain adjustments that should be made to curriculum of specific courses or modules, then companies will no longer need to spend in those areas. So they're redirecting that part of their budget back to the universities. So what we're looking at is the possibility of having better interactions, because if you go back to the COVID period, where we're still in it, but when it was at its peak, the globe was on a race for a vaccine. And a lot of that research activities were handled by universities, microbiology labs and all, but they were receiving funding from private sector companies. It shouldn't be any different in Nigeria. You have the Silicon Valley and other places like that where you have a concentration of institutions and businesses that leverage on research that is being done on the universities, and then they're able to add their money to it, and it becomes something that is a solution to a problem that exists within society. And it could be flipped, wherein as a company I have some problems that I want to solve, and I put those problems up, and it's picked up by the universities, and the students, either undergrad or postgrad students, are able to pick it up, send us a research proposal, and if we like the content, we fund it. So there's so many possibilities that could be achieved in harnessing university industry collaboration.
You know, your organization, Bilaad Realty, I saw that you guys wrote a book, you did a kids book on what they call it, on construction, and the book was so beautiful, you know, and I saw a lot of young people working, doing this and doing that. Would you say this is a way to make better, make the younger generation understand how to use, or perhaps make the younger generation know how to go into the industry of real estate?
So I would say yes. That real estate for kids was directed toward kids, children from within the ages of 6 to maybe 10 years old. And if you align that with university industry collaboration, we're now targeting individuals who are within the ages of 16, 17 up until 20, 24, 25, depending on who goes to school, or when you go to school, even the 30s, because people do their masters maybe when they're in their 25s, moving to 30 years old. So we're targeting a different segment. And to be honest, the wider perspective of all the initiatives that we put together is targeted at succession planning. So if you're creating a business, who's going to handle did you know after you? Where's the passion? Who have you prepared to take over things from you in a manner that you have not even imagined? Because you're gradually going to be outdated, you're going to become a bit tired. So you need somebody younger who's going to come up with the drive, the passion, and he wants to take what you've started to something much better and much greater. And one of the ways we can achieve it is by having those specific conversations. So when you pick up Did You Know, for instance, as a case study, and we walk to the university, you say, which faculties do you interact with? Are you looking at mass communication? Are you looking at marketing? Are you looking at accounting? Which of the faculties are you looking at? Which of the departments are you looking at? And you sit down and you say, okay, I'm looking for this type of individuals. Now, it would be cheaper for you to train people that are already within your field of endeavor, compared to picking up an engineer that has a passion for what you do, you would spend slightly more because you now have to teach him the lingo and all of that related to media and communications.
Right.
But when you find a student that is already a student of media and communications, so it makes it that much easier. So there are certain things that may have evolved from the perspective of the content that is being taught to the students right now, but you're already implementing it in industry. So what we're doing is to say, can we make adjustments to the content of curriculum to reflect what you're already doing right now? And then that brings about improvements within that space.
Amazing. Coming back to, the university industry collaboration, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of organizations don't even know that there's a need for collaboration. What is your organization doing to make this more known to the society?
So what we've done so far is that we've succeeded in signing a memorandum of understanding with FUT Minna, Federal University of Technology Minna. And with the signing of that university industry collaboration agreement, it's opened a platform for us to interact on a number of focal areas, one of which is most critical is curriculum development. Now, in that aspect of things, we were very pleased to find out that universities have ownership of 60% of the content that they teach to students, while 40% must be in conformance with NUC. Now, with 60%, you can do so much. You can introduce components of industry experts coming to the classroom. Right. You can introduce consulting services. You can introduce case studies, real life situations where it would be targeted at SMEs within any business environment, within any locale. So that for us is an area of interest where the university is open and willing to say, okay, their lecturers in certain faculties and departments should have interactions with industry experts and see what are those things that they need to make adjustments to for their curriculum. The second focal area we're looking at is joint research publications. So there's a lot of research that is being done in institutions that unfortunately so many businesses are unaware. So it doesn't get past the defense period where you have the internal defense and external defense is just done as almost a ritual where if you finish if you're about to graduate, you have to write a thesis. It's part of the ritual. But there's more to it than just writing the thesis, because the thesis is supposed to be a build-up of old knowledge. Right. So you go back in history and see this particular subject matter, where have we gotten to, and what is new, and what can we bring into it? And that is supposed to reflect on society as a whole. So being in industry, for example, real estate, I'm trying to find out what materials I can use to improve building that are available locally. Considering the fact that importation and all of that is becoming much more expensive, how do I get local materials that are reliable, that would resist and withstand the elements, external elements, relative to what I'm using today? Now, the best platform to do that for us would be the universities. So if they pick up a research like that and I'm interested in it and I fund it, then I have rights to intellectual property. Right. So it helps that component of research, and then we can now publish the outcome of it, and it becomes new knowledge that other companies can begin to apply in the improvement of their own activities as well. And then we look at areas of SIWES, internship, and employment. So already universities have the standard SIWES program where in I think 200 level or 300 level students go out for between 4 months to as much as 1 year, depending on the course, to participate in companies, work for that period and learn what is being done. Now, some of the challenges that exist include the difficulty of lecturers overseeing the students' activities within these companies. So we're trying to create a portal that would integrate systems like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, where virtually we can have meetings with lecturers. Amazing. Feedback sessions on the students, and then when we have issues in terms of company problems, we put it on the portal to say, okay, which students are going to pick up this as a research topic. So even students that find it difficult say, oh, what research topic am I going to work on? once we have our business collaborators that are all part of this university industry collaboration process, all problems will be put up on that portal, and students can actually pick which ones, depending on, so imagine Bilaad as a construction company or a real estate company puts up its own issues, and then Did You Know puts up its own issues. So the students from the relevant departments would be able to pick and send proposals to you, and when you read them, you'll be like, okay, yes, I like what I see here. Then you speak through the university to say, let's have this, and then you would like to contribute to either that student's activities. So if it's sideways, the person does well, you're able to either retain the person, give the person employment even before he graduates, give them scholarship or sponsorship, however it might be. Then issues of employment or internship, you now have the opportunity to go into the universities and say you want to do a job fair. So students with a number of companies listed out just come, and you have their desks and you're interacting with students to try and find out what future, what do they, it makes it easier. And then you can find the best brains, and then you onboard them early on. So these are things that are already being done in developed countries. The question now is, how come we've not internalized and implemented these things in our country? And nobody's going to do it for us. So we must find ways to solve our own problems. And that's the perspective that we're approaching this from as Bilaad Realty.
Amazing, Abdullah. We're just going to take a short break and we'll be right back, inshallah. Thank you, sir. All right, viewers, stay tuned and we'll be right back. And welcome back. We have been discussing on university industry collaboration. Alhamdulillah, we have been discussing with Abdullahi Umar from Bilaad. You're welcome, Habibi. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Hope you're not tired, Habibi.
No, we can take this on for so long, honestly.
You know, amazing. We've been talking about this particular, subject on collaboration, university industry collaboration. I got to realize recently that Bilaad did a book for kids on, what they call it. Is it construction? Real estate, right? And I saw there's so much cartoons and everything, and it looks so nice. And I myself wanted to wow, I think I can do this stuff. Why did you guys do a book? Is it based on on the collaboration?
So we did the book. To be honest with you, that book came up as a concept from one of our staff, and when he presented it, our mind started running to say, if we do this for real estate, it means we can do it for several other industries and several other topics, and it's a way to connect with the kids. You have situations where kids say they want to become senators, they want to become politicians. There's so much that kids can become in terms of options, especially right now in our own time, where there's so much emphasis from parents on getting a government job, that it's more secure. Meanwhile, there's so many things happening around the world that I have family members that are working online, Ukraine, and it's online. Her job work is just in online, and she's in her room, and she gets paid at the end of the month. Really? So typical is that her mom, my aunt, now comes and says, you don't go anywhere. You're sitting at home. You're not doing that much with your life. Your mates are out there doing other productive things. And she's like, but she's employed. She's working. It's just a different type of job. So there's so much that our kids are going to be able to do that maybe our parents are not fully aware of. And it will be important for us to introduce these things to our kids early than later. So instead of them saying, no, they just want to be doctors or nurses or police, or they want to join the army, what are those other professions that they could become? And how do we tell our own story as Nigerians? Because we need something to say to our people. So if you have us hooked on the Avengers, for instance, you have Spider-Man, Superman, and the rest, and they go back as far as 30 odd years. What have we prepared for our own kids? What are we preparing for them today as cartoon characters, as characters that they can aspire to become, that would form and mold character? and behaviors for the next 30 years? What type of future citizens are we working to have? So essentially, that's why we had done it for the kids.
Amazing. So what are the factors that you think will influence the success of this collaboration, the university-industry collaboration?
So openness. It's a learning curve for both universities and private sector because it's not something that is common. It's not something that we've done before. We have the experience of it. So we're both platforms, both the university and industry, are going to learn through the process to build the type of platform that would enable both sides of the table to benefit from it. The schools would benefit from additional investments. They would benefit from new related issues that are societal based, right. Such that it would create new content. Now, an interesting area that we want to see if we can address is how you have, for instance, you take on interior design. A lot of interior design companies are headed by architects. So do you really have to go through 7 years of architecture to come out as an interior design expert? So it means that universities can actually create new courses that are tailored for interior design. And it might be a 3-year program, it might be a 4-year program, as the case may be, all depending on what they do.
I want to go into interior design.
You want to go into interior design, exactly. So would you want to spend that much time to go and become the expert? So it gives them the opportunity to now recreate courses that would allow people to specialize early and not spend as much time. Google, as it were today, has said it's coming out with its own set of certifications, wherein the moment people have those certifications, whether you have a university degree or not, as long as you pass their certifications, they will hire you because you can do what they need. So it means the education as a whole is evolving, and we must be aware of the times and the shift that is happening. And we can only prepare ourselves for what is around us. And so success on that end is relative to how flexible our universities are going to be. And then as well, the expectations of industry, because a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's difficult for you to find people that are employable. Now, it's to improve that bit. So the budget that I set aside for training new intakes, especially in areas that are supposed to have been taught within the classroom, I take that component of it and send it back to the universities for them to sharpen up what they need to train people on, and they learn it. So when people come to me, all I'm teaching them is my core values, my vision, my mission, and then the specific modus operandi of my business. Right. So it makes it a bit easier. So that success factor there has to be patience. There has to be understanding, there has to be openness, knowing that people will know that, you know, we don't know it all, but then we're willing to learn as we move on. And I think those are the things that we will be looking for, and I think we found in FUT Mina, they're willing to be open for us to explore that, and we are as well willing to learn to see how we can strengthen this process. But to be very critical and open about it is that we can't do it alone. So we are looking for partner companies, Did You Know, and several others across different industries. So it doesn't have to be real estate. Be you in banking or financial services or agriculture, we need the collaboration from all industries. Right. And what that would do is that it will strengthen the possibility for universities to be more focused on solving industry problems related to us and societal problems related to us. So I would use this platform to say other companies should come, and we're happy to collaborate with other private sector companies so that we can interact with other universities as well. Really? Create a platform that would help all of us and help Nigeria as a whole.
Amazing. So openness and patience are the key things.
Yep.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so
We
much.
hope to have you again.
I appreciate it.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Dear viewers, alhamdulillah, we've come to the end of this program. You've known about university industry collaboration. I didn't know. Now you know. So we need to implement what we know. Until the next episode, I leave you on the care of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.